Hey everyone, welcome back to Scaling Smarter. I am Ollie J. Taylor from Wisdom and Wayfinder, joined as always by my co-host Frank Maiorana from JustWorks. Frank, how's everything going?
Everything's going great, Ollie. How about you?
It's going pretty well. I am enjoying not being in the depths of Hades anymore, so it is nice to not be sweating my face off.
That was brutal. It was like
Yeah.
walking out into a furnace. That was absolutely brutal. A couple of days. But I'll tell you one thing. Super excited for our conversation.
Yeah.
Jackie is joining us, and then she helped us out with our first social, which was fun and exciting. So really excited to talk to Jackie today.
Yeah, this is awesome. Jackie 𝗕𝗏𝗏 is joining us today, as Frank said. She is an experienced curator and the founder of JNC Innovations, Jacks of all trades, and Andiamo to events. And she's also the president of my former Latip chapter, and does a ton of other things. We could probably spend, at least another 15 minutes just listing all of the different things she does. But in addition to all that, she's just a fantastic person, and we're excited to have a conversation with her today. So welcome, Jackie.
Thanks so much to both of you for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. So actually, I would love to just start off the call with what we were kind of talking about before we joined. Just Frank, your experience with, like you said, the Scaling Smarter Summer Social, what that was like for you, and the experience in general.
Yeah. So when we chatted, right? When you and I first started talking about putting together an event, and you were like, "Hey, I think we should bring Jackie," and I'm like, at first I was like, why? I was like, all right. Well, I get it, but all right. But everyone's on. You always think about budget, and you think about how can I do this the most economical way, as well as making it great. That was the smartest thing we could have done. Was bringing her in, right? She had, and I'll let her talk, obviously, but she gave us ideas. She gave us ways of kind of putting the event together, and also the folks that she brought in to support us. They were absolutely phenomenal. So, but thank you, Jackie. Like, that's what I wanted to say. So, Jackie, tell us about you.
Yeah.
About you, your organization. Go.
Well, thank you. And thanks for the opportunity to help you host your party and make sure that you had the opportunity to be a guest at your event. So that's always what I say to clients. Like, let me not only help you make a memorable moment, a memorable experience for whatever it is that you're hosting, but the other part of it is I can help you actually be a guest at your event, attend, connect with people to make sure that you're not just always at the sink washing dishes or picking up glasses after people, or if somebody's holding like a napkin in their hand after having a bite of something because they don't know where the garbage can is, right? That's what I am there to take care of. And so we were chatting a little bit before. I always, when I'm talking to clients, if they've never had, hostess help is what I call it, right? For when I'm in your home, helping you make a memorable, seamless event. If you've never experienced it, it is truly life-changing after the first time that you have it. And, you're like, oh, why didn't I ever think of this, right? So you don't have to worry about warming up the food, getting it out on the buffet table, or serving it to people, or forgetting that you had an app in the freezer and you forgot to pull out and serve to people the next day, or whatever the case may be. So we take care of all of the details, and before the event also offer suggestions for, to help elevate whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, that was really key in terms of, because I had a bunch of different ideas that we were kind of going over and brainstorming, and it was like, okay, but what is this gonna take to actually fulfill on, and do we have enough time, and what is the cost and all the budget? So yeah, just being able to help us plan and really think through all the different things, different aspects of the event, from the pre-planning to the day of, and then to the cleanup and everything else, was truly just amazing. I don't know that I could. I mean, I will go back at some point, because you can't have, you're only one of one. So it's like, you can't have you for every party. I would love to be able to do that. But like you said, being able to be a guest at your own event and just focus on connecting. It was really the most relaxed that I had ever felt, and just being able to just have conversations with the people that were there and just focus on that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's always the goal. We keep the drinks flowing, whether people are drinking alcohol or not, right? Like it was hot outside too, so we made sure that people were drinking water, that they didn't feel like they needed to get up to go to the bar if they wanted to refill a drink, right? Just paying attention to all of the details throughout it, so that way, whoever's hosting doesn't have to worry about that.
So Jackie, our event was for people as a thank you to people within the network, right? So it's more obviously business related. Is there a big difference between a business event as compared to what you would say would be like because you said you're doing like family house parties as well. Is there a different approach you take from one to the other, or is it kind of the same type of checklist that you kind of go through?
My approach is always the same. So, right, like the details might be a little bit different, depending on how many people, what the venue is, right? It may be sometimes there's like vendors coming, right? Like kids' birthday parties is a good example of that. If you're having, blow up things in your backyard, like a jumpy house, or, like fairy hair is really popular right now for party, right? So if you're having other vendors come, right, the details are a little bit more, but I can help. So I offer end-to-end planning, right? So meeting with clients in the beginning, what is your vision and do you need help making it happen? Meaning, do you want me to source the venues for you, call, get pricing, so then you can decide which vendor you want to go with, or if you know exactly who you want, including food and catering, I can just take care of all of that and tell them, right, like where to be, when to be, and then come early to meet them, tell them, where on the grass to put all of the things, so on and so forth. So I always like to have a few meetings with clients before the events to truly understand what is the vision and what is the help. So to answer your question, Frank, like my checklist is pretty consistent, right? Like asking all of those questions, and then depending on what the vision is, whether it's just a in-home, right, like just because summer barbecue party, or a client appreciation at a venue, the questions and the checklist is always the same, but my offerings can be different depending on what the client needs help with.
Makes sense. What's the one detail that people tend to miss the most, right? Because you are detail oriented and you do a good job of asking a lot of questions. And so what's the one that you find that someone does it themselves, they're like, this is always missed?
So that's a really great question. I think it really depends on the person, because I've had multiple clients, like some clients are party planners, right? Like maybe not in business, but like are always hosting at their house, right? So they have like the pantry that is all of the catering supplies, right? So like I don't necessarily have to bring the chafing dishes or the platters to serve, right? Like they have it all. Right. So it really depends on the level of the client. Like, are they like hosting parties every month, right? Like, I mean, that might be a little bit extreme. But I think as far as the details, one thing that I always hear after the fact of talking to clients is like they might not say like, oh, your attention to detail, right? Like it comes out in different ways or words, but I really pride myself in, right, during the cleanup, let's say, right? Like we're not only checking like the spaces that people were in, right? But like I will go into the bathrooms during the event too and make sure, because sometimes people are washing their hand and they leave their wine glass like on the sink or like on the floor, right? Like nobody, then the next day you're like, oh, where did that come from? Right. So I kind of do a sweep, if you will, is what I call it, of the house or of the space where people are, to make sure we're picking up the garbage that might be accidentally left behind, or that they're not leaving like a ring of like a glass sweating on your TV entertainment center that's going to leave a ring there, picking up the trash, taking the trash out during the event. So I always like to, when we leave, it's like a miracle, right? Like, because I don't want to say like, it's messy during the event, right? But you're in the kitchen, you're working, right? Like heating up the food, but when we leave, it's like we were never there. Right? There's like
I can attest to that. I walked around after the event. I was like, oh, I don't have to do anything. Like everything's already done. And then I was thinking of things that I had done before. And it was like, wait, did I turn off the blow out the candle? Like, no, but you took care of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always make sure we always do a sweep, right? Like from making sure the counters, sweeping the floor, the trash, all of the things. And then if the party, sometimes, you know, like the party continues after I might be gone. So I'll make sure everything is done up until that point, making sure the ice bucket is full so you can continue to have the beverages out there, you know, like snacks and like disposable containers. So then when it does end, it's an easy cleanup for the host.
If a business owner is, we're in the summertime, and if they're thinking about doing, because this is a business live stream, right? If they're thinking about doing an appreciation barbecue for their organization, what should they be thinking about when putting it together? What approach should they take? And any words of wisdom?
Yeah, so I think the approach is sitting down to think about what is the vision, right? Like, what do you want to offer? So if it's an appreciation, are you just bringing them together to like mix and mingle, right? Do you want to just have past apps? Do you want to have a sit down meal, right? Like, so like the meal part is important, right? Like what you want that to look about. But if it's an appreciation, I also offer suggestions about what is the activity, if you will, right? Like you're bringing your team together. And so what are they going to be doing during this time, right? So I am a huge fan of gifting. That's also like a separate piece of my business. So, right, like you want them to walk away with something or receive something when they walk in. So I try to help clients with the overall picture, right? Like what is the vision from when they step through the entranceway until the very moment when they're saying their goodbyes. And I can offer suggestions throughout that. But, you know, in that first meeting, I'll always sit down with people and try to understand their vision and then ask prompting questions to help them elevate it.
Yeah. We got a couple of comments coming in. We have Jean Moyer, who said that she can attest that 𝗏𝗃𝗏 𝗃𝗏 makes your party beautiful from beginning to end and a special event.
Thanks,
and then we have Anthony Paternostro, who says, hello, and the curated gift basket that he bought from you was a hit and landed very well. So,
nice. Thank you. Thank you both.
So
yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, good.
Go ahead, no, you go.
I was going to say, you know, one of the things that I remember there was another event that I was planning with someone a while back. It was supposed to be like a wellness event or whatnot. And I remember one of the things that you suggested was something that was so far off my radar that I never would have thought. But being that it was a health and wellness event, you had suggested the type of, what was it, like the scent, a signature scent for the event, right? To be put into a diffuser. Like that is such a level of detail that I would never have thought of. And yet it makes all of the sense in the world when you think of the biological and physiological phenomena of like how our sense of smell impacts our memories.
Yeah.
So like, is that something that you just knew beforehand? You picked it up? Like, how did you come to incorporate details like that into your process?
So I've been doing events long before I started my own business. So, you know, my background is in the higher education world for about 20 years. And because as a human, I do not sit still well, I've always had side hustles. So, you know, so I worked for catering halls. I've done coordinations for weddings, baby showers, bridal showers, sweet 16s, like running a venue. I managed a venue part-time over the years, right? So like I've picked up little things along the way, but details are just important to me as a person. And so I attend different, you know, events too, and pick up, you know, make a little list of things to remember. That way I can offer to clients as well. But sometimes too, just from having the conversation with clients, things come to me in the moment, like, right, hearing what you want to do and what the vision is. Like, I'm just like I have that knack,
those
I guess,
dots.
that skill, which I'm thankful for. But right, so then I'm thinking, right, like, well, because I've been to some wellness retreats too, and I got that idea because have you ever walked into like a Hyatt and they have that smell?
Yep.
Or just like any hotel for that
Yep.
matter, right? Where there's like a diffuser and you're like, ooh, right? It makes you want to come back. It makes you're asking like, what is the scent, right? So like, I think when something has, right, whether it's a scent with it or just the visual decor, right? The other thing is people always remember the food. And that is like at weddings, right? Like people always remember the food. And that is like, especially for weddings, like so hard because the food is the food.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. And like you're like, ooh, if it lands, great, but sometimes things might be a little bit off. And like to be clear, I'm not a chef, I don't cook, so I will help you make the food look great, the display, the serving of it. But I work with either private chefs or catering companies for the in-home parties, but I'm just using that like as an example.
Yeah, but I think that ties back to branding, right? Like, most of again, businesses are always thinking about how can I brand myself? How can I make myself memorable? Being able to go beyond just what your logo looks like, your brand colors looks like, to something that's more about the human experience, I think is really huge, a huge benefit for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're figuring out a gift, like, so when you're talking through that with a client, what do you like? What's the thought process, right? Because like even Ali and I were talking about, like, do we do a mug? Do we do a shirt? Like what do we do? What do we want to? And you want it to be memorable, right? Most importantly, like you're talking to. But sometimes you're like, I do want it to be useful. like I want them to, if it's from a marketing perspective, I want it to be something that they interact with all the time, so they see me, see my name, think of me. So what's kind of your thought process when talking through that with a client?
So, knowing what their business is really helpful, and then trying to tailor it potentially around that. Or I always try to make sure that it's useful, right? That it's not necessary. I mean, sometimes, yes, people want to go with like something that sits on a desk or on a shelf, or right. So sometimes that does make the most sense, but generally I always try to offer suggestions for something useful. And sometimes it's food. Like sometimes the giveaway is like part of the dessert bar. So it's either like cookies to go with like the theme, right? Like you might have a bridal shower is a good example of that. Different from like the client appreciation stuff, but I think this will like land for like the visual, right? Like you go to a baby shower and the cookies that they're maybe giving away are like a baby bottle or a rattle or a stroller or something like that. So depending on what the business is, right? Like if we're talking about financial planners, maybe the cookies are like a little piggy bank or like a money sign, or right, like thinking outside the box with those details. And you can do a lot of different things with food as giveaways. Candy bars are another thing that I do pretty often, and then making sure that the candy is intentionally part of the color scheme of the branding, so it's not just like random candy. Is another example. But if we're talking like actual gifts, some things that are really common are, if like alcohol is always tricky, right? Because not everybody drinks alcohol. And I think that's an important thing just to mention, because sometimes people are really quick to go to like an alcohol item, right? But something that is popular is like a wine opener, right? Like, because it's always helpful to either have one like at your bar in your house, or maybe in your car if you're traveling, or, like a bottle opener with it branded on it. And they come in like all different like shapes and different functionalities. Like some function even as something other than a bottle opener. Chargers for phones continue to be really popular because everybody's walking around with like a battery that's about to die at one point or another. But having the conversation to understand like what is the business, what is the event, and what are some items that could potentially help with that elevate and kind of like that wow factor of like, oh, this is really thoughtful and useful.
Yeah. And you just said the perfect word, elevate, right? Because I think that's really what what for me these events are always about. It's about elevating the experience of whether it's working with me, being a part of my network, knowing the people that we have access to, being able to elevate the experience in so many different ways of that relationship. And so you have definitely elevated a lot of the things that we have done, and especially I've seen some of the other gifts. I've received some gifts from you, and I've seen some of the gifts that you've given out for some financial planners on their behalf to other people, and just seeing the wow factor that comes over their face, I think is really it's really fulfilling, right? To not only as a business owner do a great job, but then be able to give them something that they can appreciate in a different way.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, for me, it's like all about the joy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I started my business, right? Like I've always been a planner, right? Like a party planner. And I would always host events at my house, like themed events, right?
Mm-hmm.
For people that might be listening that know me, they know I absolutely love my birthday. And I celebrate all month because I'm a December baby. And so for years, I have like a December month kickoff party. And it's always like a themed party, right? And so the detail is there from the second people would walk into my house, until they leave, and I would do favors and all like the extra things just because that's how I'm wired. Right. But like I help bring that to, people and clients because it's important, and it brings me joy to help people be able to elevate their business, whatever it is that they're planning, just to see like that smile, whether it's an event that they're doing or a gift that they're giving.
So here's a question with regards to client appreciation, right? Everyone does either Christmas or holiday cards, or maybe they do like a wine drop or something like that. When do you think that you see people get the most benefit or best response, I should say, not benefit, the best response from a gift? Is it for a birthday? Is it from a holiday in which they started doing, or from an anniversary which they started doing business? Like what have you seen as being the most effective?
I've seen it in a variety of different ways, so I don't know that I can just pick one. So I'll share a couple of examples. So I have a client who does some client like appreciation around the holidays. So I put together gift baskets and I go deliver them. Like I personally deliver them. And that brings me so much joy, just like seeing the joy on their faces when I bring it. And I've done it for a couple of years now, and some of the people are the same. And just that interaction between me and them, like I see them once a year now. And then my client always sends me a text of like the text that they send to her. Right. So that's just like joy all around. I think for each of us individually, like for me as the person putting it together and delivering it, for the client that hired me to do that, and then for the person receiving. And the thing that I love about those, and for those of you that don't know about the gifts that I do, every gift that I curate for clients, for businesses, is specifically curated to them. So these, and sometimes the client will be like, well, I don't really know what I want, so I'll give suggestions, right? So we could do the wine and cheese basket, right? I try to do non-perishables, but depending on the timing, like sometimes there might be like freshly baked sourdough bread in it, or, or whatever the case may be. But again, useful things. So I think this past year, one of them, and they were all different. Like really no two baskets are ever truly the same. You're like, right, even if it's like a whiskey one, right, the bottle of whiskey might be the same, but the extra items in it might be a little bit different. So for this one office, I did like a coffee theme, right? So it was coffee mugs, a coffee stand for the mugs to go on, a variety, right? Like of just different coffee things that could go in the employee break room. So everybody is able to share it, not just like the owner of that business.
Yeah. Can I take a second to show one of the gifts that Jackie got for me? This is I forgot, it was a thank you for after the leadership event. But for those of you that know me, you know that I love whiskey, you know that I love bourbon. So this is a very bourbon themed basket that she gave me. Obviously a very nice like handwritten card, which I always appreciate. It's always like thoughtful what you put into that. But this had whiskey themed playing cards, It came with a 3-piece decanter set, some bitters for when I make my old fashions. And then there's a notebook that says ideas I had while drinking whiskey, which is on it's on the other table. But yeah, this is just an example of just something that's like really cool, really personalized, that she put together for me. So when she says that she tailors it to the specific individual that you're giving it to, like, this is the most memorable thing that somebody has given me, like whiskey themed wise. And it just makes such a difference for the person that's receiving it. So,
oh, thank you, Ali.
Yeah, no, thank you.
You're gonna get a bunch of calls saying, "What do I get my wife for her anniversary?"
Yeah, call me, let me know. I did my favorite Mother's Day basket that I did this year. Right, so I can do anything. It could be like one-offs. I've done a couple of like just because that husbands have called me for that wanted to get their wife a little something. But one of my favorite baskets I put together this year for Mother's Day was a KitchenAid mixer, right? Like that was the gift that the woman wanted. And so, right, I bought that and then I made that bowl the basket. So inside of it, it was a bunch of different like baking. She likes to bake. So it was a bunch of different baking items. So it was really unique, but it elevated rather than just giving the box with the mixer in it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So here's a question I think for business owners, right? We often say, I think it's like 3 to 5% or maybe 5 to 8% that they should set aside for, their budget for marketing or anything like that. Do you recommend that business owners set aside a budget of their revenue, a portion of their revenue for gift giving?
Yes. 100%. I would say yes. Because I think, people remember those things, right? Like people remember how their bosses or supervisors treat them, right? And so I think right? And different people, right? It hits different, right? Like some people appreciate, like comp days, right? Some people appreciate, right? Like not everybody likes receiving gifts. Not everybody likes giving gifts, right? So that's totally like individualized. But I think in general, it just shows that you were intentionally thinking of your folks, and if it's an intentional gift, right? It's not just something like a mug with like the company logo on it, right? Like something, that maybe there's additional goodies inside the mug if you're going the mug route, right? But I think that really helps people to feel valued and appreciated.
I truly think gift giving is a skill, though. Like it really is. Like like Jackie, like you do a wonderful job. Like, and there are people that give great gifts, and there are people that give, not pointing fingers, give horrible gifts. Like it can't seem to get it right. But no, it's really a skill, and I love the idea of when you're talking about taking that personalized approach, and whether you're giving it to a client or you're giving it to a prospective client, kind of being able to go deeper, show them that you're thinking about them. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I work with some businesses too that not only do gifts for like client or like employee appreciations, but clients too. If you're in a business where you're getting new clients on a regular basis, like what opportunities are there to say like a little welcome, thank you for, right? Like whatever the proper wordage is, like joining the firm or, or whatever the case may be, because people also remember that, right? And then it's just another way of like helping them to know they made the right decision because you're thinking of them like as a human, as an individual.
So we bought our house from a realtor named Sharon Steele when we bought our house in New Jersey, in Westfield. And one, she's the best. Like I would recommend her to anybody. So anyone listening that needs a realtor, reach out to Sharon Steele. But anyway, but with that said, one of the things that she does is she sends a gift. I think it's every year or every other year. to our house, and we've had the house for almost 9 years now, right? And you get some new. And the thing is, the gifts aren't just like the first couple of years. It was a subscription to New Jersey Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Like this past year, it was a cheese board with New Jersey on it. Like it's something cute, something useful. It's not a gift card. It's something that we would keep in our home, and it makes me obviously continuously think about her, which is what you want. But the point is, like, a good gift can leave a lasting impression. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if there are any like real estate folks listening, I do work with realtors to do closing gifts. So like if you're not a good gifter and you're in that business and you need some help, I can absolutely help you.
Yeah, especially if you want to do something beyond just the branded swag that they normally give out. Yeah, I think it's also really important for businesses to understand that it's gift giving is not just a nice to have, but it's an investment in future, like in the customer lifetime value, right? You're investing in that, right? Because of course, if you get something that's really cool, people are going to talk about it, and it's going to be like, oh, your realtor gave you this, or your financial advisor gave you this. It's really cool. Provided all the other things are in place and you're doing a good job and delivering good service, I think that's just a major investment in one, having that lifetime customer, but in them doing additional advertising and referrals for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's always easier it costs less to keep a client than it does to replace them. So absolutely,
100%. When it comes to events, right? Putting on an event, starting an event. Over the years, I've been a part of committees that have tried to start them and plan them. And what's the first thing that everybody should do if they're thinking about putting on an event, whether it's at somebody's house, whether it's at a different venue? What are the first thing they should do, and then like the next 2 steps after that?
So I always like to start with the budget, because I think the budget helps you drive the whole experience. Like, right. So if you're having it in your home versus at a venue, right, like the cost difference right there is going to be extreme potentially, right? Because of rental fees. So I always like to start with the budget, especially if it's, a business and there's like an opportunity for Rev to be a part of this, right? Like you got to see if it's like a ticketed event, right? Like where you land, all of those things. So number one, 100% the budget. And then I would say after that, the venue, where is it going to be? Right. And then the guest list too. And those could be interchangeable, because depending on, right, like if you are inviting 100 people and you only end up, obviously you won't know the final number until later, but just seeing the scope of the number of people can also help you pick the right type of venue. So it's not too big or not too small.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things that Frank and I learned from doing the summer social was to, I guess, invite more people than you expect to show up. Yeah, because we initially wanted it to be for guests and plus ones or significant others of people who have appeared on the show, right? Kind of as a thank you for being a part of the journey so far. And then as the day kind of went on and people realized how far I live from most of them, that's when they realized, like, oh, okay, we can't make it. We're not going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with guest lists. Oh, go ahead, Frank.
No, I was going to say, like, having conversations. Oh, yeah. And then it's in Asbury. Sorry.
The thing with the guests is even the day of, like, life happens, right? So like, there's the rule of like the percentage that you can automatically kind of take off, but like chances are you'll always have like 1 to 5 people that either like get sick or had something unexpected, pop up. So that's just life. It's with anything. Events at your house, weddings, all of the things.
So when you're planning, obviously depends on who you're inviting, how wide it is, right? And how committal those people are to coming, right? People are more committed to going to a wedding than they are to going to a networking happy, right? So it's different. But what is typically the percentage that you think people should keep in mind? Is it 10%, 15%? of saying no's or not being able to come?
I would say a good number is probably like 5 to 10%, depending
Okay.
on how many people you invited and what the function, the actual event is.
Okay.
And I always recommend too, because some people are like super quick to just like RSVP the second that they see the the invite on the list, right? And some people do it before they even look at their calendar, right? And then they don't even realize that they're potentially double booked until they're actually looking like a week out, right? So I always think it's good too from the original invite, to send like, and those online invites automatically do that. Like you can prompt it to send the reminders and the invites too, but just to like put the human touch on it too. Like if you're seeing people, remind them or send like an actual text message from yourself, depending of course, what the event is, just to get an idea, and then also build excitement around it too, right? That they're not just like seeing it in their email, right? Like, oh, we're going to have this amazing blah, blah, blah at the event, or, like we're getting it catered from this place and they have the best, whatever, to help build the excitement for people to not want to miss it.
And then you also have the people that RSVP in their head, but never say anything. They're like, I'm going there. Are you going to be there? Yeah, I'll be there. Will you just respond, please? Well, I'm going. I told you I'm going. All right. That's not. But once again, that's me as well. So I can.
Yeah, I'm very much a person, like I don't say yes to something unless I look at my calendar first. So the idea of just people just saying yes before even looking, that's totally foreign to me.
Yeah, it happens though. It's, I think people get so excited, or you don't think, you're like, oh, it's in October. Like, what do I have planned? And then you're like, oh, so.
Yep.
Things to think about.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, we're definitely taking notes because we're going to do this again. The Summer Social, September 17th. It'll be a Thursday, so we'll definitely be talking again to see like what are all the things that we need to plan for. What can we do differently from the last event to make sure that one, people are able to attend, that they're clear about like where it is, and then again, just how can we elevate it from the previous one?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this is great, Jack.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. This was lovely. And it was a pleasure to help you all elevate your event for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So before you go, can you leave us with one final tip, and then two, tell us, this is your opportunity to promote anything and everything that you want. I know you have a lot of different things happening. So tell us, one final tip, promote, and then where can we find you?
Okay, so one final tip I would say they'll do one tip for the events and one tip for the baskets. So perfect. A tip for when you're gifting, just if you fall into the category of not being a good gifter, just try to, obviously you can always call me first and foremost. But if you're not able to, or you want to do it yourself, of course, just think about that person, right? And just ask yourself, have a quick little conversation with yourself about like, even what is their favorite color, right? And you could do a whole gift just on the color blue, right? So you don't really have to overthink it to be intentional with your gift giving. And then for the events, I think, we just mentioned it a little while ago, but definitely have a budget in mind and let your budget drive the experience, because sometimes people get caught up with the number of thinking, oh, it's going to be super, super expensive. But there's ways to throw a fabulous party, whether it's a client appreciation, a backyard barbecue, whatever you're doing, and keep it like under what you think it's going to be. And again, I can help make magic happen with any budget for sure. And then as far as all that I do, let's see. I have just recently gotten into the singles market with singles events, and that is under Andiamo 2 events. And if you're not familiar with the word Andiamo, it means let's go in Italian. And I have my next singles event. So if there's any singles listening, or if you know somebody that's single, feel free to spread the word. July 18th at 7 p.m., we are taking over the pedal cycle in Seaside Heights. It's going to be certainly an event to remember. We're going to be stopping at 3 bars along the way. We have private seating at all of them. Drinks and snacks are included in the ticket. So feel free to reach out to me for more about that. I also have an upcoming book signing. It's going to be August 6th in Ocean, New Jersey. And I'll put that on my LinkedIn and things if anybody is in the area and wants to stop by for that. I was in a book that came out last year. It's called Brave Women at Work, Lessons in Letting Go. And I share about quitting my W-2 job, as I call it, and starting my own business. So that is on the calendar for upcoming. And then how you can find me, my LinkedIn. Oh, look at Ali is just ready with all the props.
Oh, he's the best. The best.
I love it. Thank you so much. LinkedIn, I'm on there. And then under 𝗬𝗄𝗏 is my last name, 𝗬𝗄𝗏. It's also on the screen. And then on Instagram, JNC Innovations, all one word, and Andiamo 2 events, all one word as well. So I look forward to connecting with you if we're not already connected. And thank you again, Ali and Frank, for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Frank and I will be back next week I think we have Michael Bruno on for next week to talk about
Michael Bruno's next week. Yep.
Yeah, to talk about his transition from the corporate world to the franchise world. So I think that's going to be a very interesting conversation, you know, navigating that journey. But for everyone, thank you again for tuning in. We do have a YouTube channel. It is going to be updated soon. So look for the show notes and everything that Jackie mentioned. We'll have the links for all of her different events there, and you can always find us on the LinkedIn page, Scaling Smarter Show on LinkedIn. And so we look forward to seeing you next week.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.